Hi, Rob. Thank you so much for joining us. Just for a little bit of a short introduction, can you tell us what you do at CNN?
Hi, I'm Rob Bradley. I essentially am head of ad sales in APAC and LATAM, but I also run the digital and data development at CNN International.
So we're here today to talk about sustainability, given that a lot of brands are now talking about it. And sometimes consumers are a little bit confused about which brands are making real change versus brands who are just greenwashing. What's your thought on that?
I think we all know the power that consumers have today, and they're aligning, themselves with brands that stand for something and stand for something that that particular consumer is getting behind, whether that's in sustainability and the environment and climate, whether that's diversity and inclusion, and all these areas that sit under impact and purpose. Brands that are doing it right are those that, of course, are authentic with the message that they're putting out in the world. And that word authentic is obviously used a lot in advertising. But what does that mean in this space? It really means, has a brand chosen something that aligns with who they are in their essence? Is there something that that brand is doing that they see as profitable for their organization beyond just their financial rewards that they're getting? So do they have some data that shows what they are doing in the sustainability space and how a project that they are running is having a true impact on the area that they're telling you about within their brand messaging and their story? But also, the brands that are doing it best are really in it for the long term. They're not just focused on what is the sort of the hot subject of the week. They're going beyond simple changes in their messaging. Of course, it's great to support the current focus around the world, but really they're looking at long-term impact that they can have, messages that continue and develop, month on month, but year and year on year. So really, it's about long-term, authentic visions that also have data that are backing them up.
So in our part of the world, CNN is a highly regarded brand. We trust your brand very much. So how do you ensure that this is maintained with the clients and the brands you are choosing to partner with? What role do you see your organization playing in safeguarding your advertiser reputation?
Sure. I mean, look, CNN trades on trust. CNN provides information to the world to help them make decisions. We drive conversation. We have this incredible, powerful audience, as you've said, that we truly believe helps drive change in the world for the better. So, and what do people need to help drive change? They need information that they can trust. And if you think about CNN, and what we stand for, that trust aspect, the standard and practices we have, the rigor that any content goes through before it is published digitally or pushed out on social or exists on television, is incredibly detailed and vital to the organization. And that remains, whether it's in branded content that's from our Create unit, whether it's in sponsored content that brands align their messaging with. We have this process that we go through where the content that we make, even if it's branded content aligned very much with the client's messaging, it still meets our standard and practices of what we would put out on the CNN brand. So a lot of it is about working incredibly closely with clients, really digging into them as a consultant on what they're doing, what data they have to show what they're doing. We share with them insights on what our audience is interested in and what they're doing as well. And then we align all that and make sure that we get a well-researched, trusted, fact-driven piece of content made and push that out into the world.
Oh, I love that. I love that example that you guys are going beyond the surface as well. So can you share with me some of the clients that have come on board recently and what are some of the executions that you're doing with them?
Sure. I mean, a good example would be DBS, out of Singapore, getting behind the Inventing Tomorrow series that exists on all platforms that we have by Christy Lestout is presenting it. That's really about looking deeply at technology and how it can change tomorrow when it comes to solving problems in the area of sustainability or climate. So there's huge amounts of stories that get behind that, obviously. Another one would be Kirloskar out of India, been with us for 13 years. Their message really is around about going green. Again, like how can a lot of these things, how can technology, again, look at areas where we can be more green? How can we be more carbon neutral? How can we be more aware of impacts that as individuals and as businesses we can make on the world to make the world a more green space?
Thank you for sharing that DBS example. Definitely Team DBS. I've seen some of their executions and I think they're doing a fantastic job. Now, I want to talk about traditional advertising and how it's changed. I don't think shouting about products and services works that well anymore with today's consumers. So can you share with us what type of content, messaging, and mediums you've seen work best for clients?
Sure. So we don't really go to market talking about advertising with our clients. You know, we work incredibly close to them, like I said, to understand what stories they want to tell. And in this space, like what's the purpose of what they're doing and how can we uncover some sort of story? Normally in our space that has some sort of human interest. We know that human-led stories that trigger some sort of an emotion are what works best for our audiences. So by understanding what works best for our audiences, and we obviously harness a huge amount of data when we're pushing content out, we understand what people are consuming across all platforms. It means that we can create these stories that really resonate with our audience, that offer some sort of insight through emotion, through a person telling a story that has some sort of positive outcome for the consumer. You know, I always think about if someone's consuming a piece of content now, even if it's in the advertising space, what value is it truly offering that audience? What is that person learning? Is it making them feel something? That's really the goal and what we see what's work. Make someone feel something after they've seen something and make sure that it has some sort of impact that drives an emotion.